Hey everybody, this is Adam Arkfeld, and in today's video I'm going to give you a very high-level overview of ManyChat. ManyChat is a Facebook Messenger bot builder, automation system, growth tool, basically everything related to Facebook Messenger and all the interactions that happen in there. ManyChat dials into that and it allows you to grow your subscriber list, which allows you to then advertise to those people later and do a lot of different things in the ManyChat platform. So for the purposes of this video, I just wanted to give a very high level overview so people can get a little bit better feeling for what ManyChat looks like, how it works, and the different options, and just get a feel for how it works. All right, so I'm looking at Outdoor Adventure Marketing's ManyChat dashboard. We just started rolling this out for Outdoor Adventure Marketing, so it's very early stages. You can see we have 11 subscribers, which are actually just organic people that have subscribed. And on the dashboard here, we have subscribers, unsubscribes, net, new. So nothing super major. On the left-hand side, you will see that we have a number of different options. We have audience, live chat, growth tools, broadcasting. I'm going to go over all these just very quickly. A lot of different options on the left. All right, so I'm just going to go from the top down. So when I hit audience, these are all the different people that are in ManyChat's our subscriber audience list. So it means that they've started interacting with Outdoor Adventure Marketing in Messenger. And you don't have to be running really anything related to ManyChat for that to happen. If people are just messaging you, they're automatically going to become a subscriber. So we just started this, a little bit ago, I think 13 days ago, and these are just people that are organically connecting with us. And so they are in our ManyChat system, even though we're not really interacting with them in any sort of way. On the right-hand side here, you can see there are a couple different tags. So you can tag people and then organize them or communicate with them in different ways. And then you have different widgets, which allow you to actually grow your subscriber tools, okay? And then you have sequences, and this is showing an example, and a little bit of information like that. So if I click this person right here, clearly not the main photo, I don't think. But here's a user tag, an example sequence. They opted in direct, and it just shows a little bit of information. You can start a chat, and then you can do custom fields. So you can, not only do they have the standard fields that you have with Facebook that they pull in, but you can do some custom fields if you want to. Here, I'll do one. So user field, we're gonna say hair color, right? And then I can do text, I can do number, date and time, true or false, and I can then create that if I wanted to. So when you can update those fields when people are filling out forms through Messenger or asking them questions, but creating a custom field is pretty cool. All right, so I head back. In this screen, you just have very basic information about the person. You actually can't do all that much. You can start a chat if you like, and then you can pull up the chat conversation, and this just allows you to then manage live chats within ManyChat, which is nice, as opposed to using the Facebook Messenger. And it just gives you a little bit different screen for conversations and automation. So that automatically kicked us to the next section down here, which is live chat. So you see it here's love the ad, I've been watching your videos, got it, hope all's well, send me your numbers. So people are interested in conversing, and this is a really good way that we can just communicate with them nice and easy, and then also move them into different conversations and chats and so on and so forth. So the live chat area is really cool because you can move out of the Facebook platform and also integrate it within ManyChat. To be communicating with people, then moving them into sequences or whatever. So I'm not going to click into those because there's personal information, but I think that this one right here, this is kind of a test one, so you can see all the conversation. This is someone testing interactions and graphics and things like that, right? So that's kind of the live chat area. Now, if I go over to growth tools, the whole idea behind ManyChat is that you are growing a subscriber base very similar to growing an email list. You can't actually message people in Messenger if they have not started communicating with your business. So as a business, that person needs to start a conversation with you through Messenger, and then you have a lot of options to move them into a sequence, tag them, send out a broadcast message, whatever. But the very first thing you have to do is get them into your sequence. And there are a few different ways to do that. One of those is running Messenger ads through Facebook ads. So you can run an ad, says click the message. When they click it, it opens a Messenger, and then they've started communicating with you, and then they fall into ManyChat, and they're available. So that's one way to build your subscriber list. You can also use growth tools. Okay, so there are a variety of different growth tools. This is a subscriber modal that pops up, and it allows you to then subscribe. You've got a bar on the top. You have an example pop up. You have a landing page. And then when I do new growth tool, it shows you all the other ones. So a slide in, a modal, a page takeover. You've got embeddable widgets that you can put on your website. You have a landing page, a messenger ref URL. So this is used for if you can have a URL that you send in like an email or you send somewhere else, and when they click that, it kicks them over to Facebook, opens up Messenger, and they start engaging right away. So you could like have it in your email signature, like message me to talk, and then when they click it, it'll open up Facebook, open up Messenger, and then they can talk to you. You have JSON, which is what you need for the Facebook ads. You add JSON text so that it triggers right into ManyChat. Facebook comments. There's a comment growth tool where you can run an ad and say, hey, comment on this if you want to receive this free offer, free PDF. When they then comment, a messenger interaction automatically starts and you message them and then it opens a conversation. Facebook Messenger code, customer chat, checkbox, just a few different options. So there are a lot of different ways to grow your subscriber base, and those are called the growth tools. So that's just a quick overview of those. Now, once you've been using the growth tools, so let's say you have a modal on your website that pops up and it says, hey, connect with us to learn more about something, learn more about our tours coming up in the fall. Then someone subscribes and now you have this subscriber list growing. And now what do you do with that list? You have a few different options. The first one is broadcasting. So broadcasting is basically like an email. You have a list and you want to create a broadcast. So I'm just going to say new broadcast. And then I have to choose who I want to be in that broadcast and also generate the post. So here I'm going to say, welcome, or looking forward to seeing you, whatever. Yeah, I do that. And then you can see up here, that's the starting step, that's the top. You can enter your text here for a message. Then you add buttons. You have text here, image, cards are basically like graphics. You have a list you can add. You can add audio, video, files, user input. You can make it dynamic. You can add a delay so it like sequences out over time. And then you go next, and then you actually choose your subscribers. So you can do a subscription broadcast, promotion, or follow-up. You can add a condition. So this is basically using tags or something like that. You can add another condition like language, time zone, name, blah, blah, blah. So like if you have a bunch of subscribers and you're a tour operator in a certain location, you can say, hey, what's their time zone or their locale? And then you can actually target people that are like near you, for example. You can schedule when it gets sent out, and then you can have it send push notifications and things like that. So that's what a broadcast is, which is really cool. Broadcasts they kind of act as like email notifications. Now Facebook they really don't want you to abuse this. So up here, you'll see that subscription broadcast messages can't contain ads or promotional materials, but can be sent at any time, regardless of the time passed. So you're sending just a broadcast to people, but they don't want you promoting or containing ads. You can send a promotional broadcast in the last 24 hours or a follow-up broadcast. After the end of the 24-hour window, you can send one follow-up, and then after that, you won't be able to send ads or promotional messages again until they interact with you again. So essentially what Facebook is doing is they're trying to make sure that you're not like just completely hammering your consumer base all the time, because that would be super frustrating. Auto posting, you can connect channels to auto post. I'm not going to get into that right now, but auto posting is another feature, another way to broadcast. Then you can, then when you get farther down, you start talking about automation and flows. And so, for example, down here we have a main menu, default reply, welcome message, keywords, sequences. So like the main menu, for example, if I add a main menu, it says, hey, if you're interested in talking to outdoor adventure marketing, do you want to talk to us about new business, being a partner, or something else? And then, or just contact us right now. So then they might hit the contact button and they'll call us, or they might say, I want to talk about new business, blah, blah, blah. So this creates a main menu. So I'll just say like menu item 1, done. And then you can see menu item 1 down here. And so when someone interacts with Messenger, they then click that, and then it starts taking them through a variety of different like sequences, like a path. You also have the default reply. So this is basically when someone connects with you, what do you want it to say and what do you want it to do? So the default reply can be they typically reply in this amount of time. I want to talk to a human. It shows your click-through rate. So it actually shows how many people got that. So ours is not enabled. So we would have to enable this. So how many people got that, and then their click-through rate, how many saw it, and so on and so forth. You have a welcome message when someone starts interacting with you. You can see it right here. It starts to show you a preview. You have different keywords. So these are keywords that people can type in to Messenger for a certain action to take place. So start or subscribe allows them to subscribe to the bot. They can stop or unsubscribe. You can do different things like like download, if they wanted to download something, or email if you wanted to get something emailed to you. So basically using keywords allows you to then add an action and add them to a sequence, add them to a flow or something like that. So the keywords are basically keywords that the consumer's typing in to do certain actions. Then we roll into sequences, which starts to get a lot more complicated. But when you create a sequence, I'm going to do test sequence. This is a test sequence. So basically it's like send an introduction and unsubscribe instructions, send an educational message, educational soft sell, and then educational message. So this is basically just giving you a sequence that you can start using right away, which is really cool because you don't have to like conceptualize it, and it's very easy to understand. You can add new messages and continue to build this out at will. All right, so that's sequences. And then you also have rules. And this is actually new. I'm actually not that familiar with rules, but it's, obviously when something happens, you you do a tag or something is initiated. So say tag applied, then you perform an action. So clearly like a tag is applied, then an action takes place. And I haven't worked with this section too much, but that's kind of the general premise of it. The purpose of this video is to just give you kind of high level. And then the last section I'm going to talk about is flows. These are very similar to sequences, and well, they kind of like play in with sequences where a flow has a number of different components to it. So for example, in the sequence you had all of these different steps, right? So send educational message, send educational soft sell. And then those steps, each one of those steps is a flow. So you can go to the flow builder here and see this more in action from a visual perspective. Well, here there's only one. So, here it is. Sorry, it popped up. So, so here it shows flow component. So this is the flow builder. And then the flow is part of the sequence. So you might consider like a flow like a building block for a sequence. So a sequence is like high level, like these are the 5 things I want to do to this consumer as they're rolling through their experience with my business. And then in each one of those major steps, there is a flow. And then you can use a flow builder. So you can add different things here where you're adding different steps. I'm going to go to the basic builder. It's easier for me. So if I edit the flow and then I want to create a new message, and then let's say I want to add an image, then I can upload the image. So it's like, hey, thanks for blah, blah, blah. Here's the text, and then you add a button, and here's something to do in this flow, right? So the flows are components of sequences, and you build out flows, then you add them to a sequence, and you have all of your automation. That's just a very high level overview of what's happening in, I kind of like the sequences seems to me like the best place to see everything, because here, this shows like the time delay and like what flow is part of the sequence. So there's a lot of different things you can do in this system, and you can be linking people out to your website, linking them to your booking page, taking them everywhere, whenever and however you want. So if you are doing a lot in Facebook, running Facebook ads, and working in Messenger, ManyChat is a really good tool. The pricing is fairly reasonable. I'm going to show you the pricing, I think. I don't want to put in my credit card number right now. I want to see all, here we go. Learn about free. Yeah. So here we go. Pro plans. All right, yeah, so up to 1,000 subscribers is $15 per month, 500 is $10, and then $25. So if you have 5,000 subscribers, you're at $45 per month, which is, starts to become realish money, but it's not an incredible amount of money. And then you get up to, 10,000 is 65, so it's incremental after that, 15,000 is 95. So that is an overview of ManyChat. If you have any questions, I hope you'll comment or shoot me a message. My email is probably below if you're watching this on YouTube. Or, please send a message and just connect with us over Facebook if you're watching this on Facebook. So thanks again. My name's Adam Markfeld. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks a lot.